What it is, what it is, what it is. I should have got some water before I. I should have got some water before I started. Players, baddies, what's going on? How y'all feeling?
500 yards, turn right.
It's Friday night. I figured I would just pull up, say hello, catch y'all for a little bit. Shout out to all my peoples that's just chilling in the crib. You know what I mean? Getting some work done or watching the games. If you at work, let me hold you down. You know what I mean? Hey. It's been a very successful and eventful day. Hope the same for you. Let me know what y'all getting into. I'll get into it in just a moment. Man, trying to let my peoples know where we be. Uptown girl, turn around and show your soul. We are calling tonight's episode Everybody Hates Oodles and Noodles but loves to post ramen. Everyone hates Oodles and Noodles but love to post ramen. Have y'all noticed the influx of Instagram or Facebook posts where people are at a ramen restaurant? And respect to the ramen restaurant. But I'm like, let a brother say yo man, I used to eat Oodles and Noodles. Dang, was you broke? That's how they be acting. Hey, Raul, I'm living, baby. Welcome to the Playas Circle. Glad you're here. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you share with your peoples. We in here chatting, doing a special Friday episode. Tonight's title is Everyone Hates Oodles and Noodles but Loves to Post Ramen. Think about it. You tell somebody you used to eat Oodles and Noodles, they be like, man, you struggled. But you eating ramen, same ass noodles, just more expensive. Put an egg in there, put a boiled egg in there. I could have did that. Glad y'all here. Glad y'all pulled up though. Y'all let me know what y'all been getting into, man. Today was real dope. So earlier in the day, my artist, Key Story, Kisto, a bad mofo. My artist, Key Story, got selected to be featured on Tidal, on the streaming platform Tidal. So she was on the front page. One of her songs was picked. And she got featured on the Thorough Hip Hop playlist, which is like their flagship hip hop playlist. And she was number 3. Her song was number 3, right after Cardi B and Little Baby. I was like, well, damn. Too sure asked, are you a tattoo artist? Now, you don't see not a tattoo on me. No, I'm not. That is a very, very specific question. But yeah, so we celebrated that today. That was big for me as a manager and for the record label for Renaissance Music. So, you know, definitely want to continue to build off of that. In other news, I was responding to some of the recent backlash from the Rory and Mal show and Rory's comments. Did I meet Cardi B? I've not met Cardi B yet. Um, it's interesting. So Cardi is from literally like right down the street from my artist Key. They're both from the Bronx. Yeah, you subscribe, but you a child. Hey, listen. Yeah, so we be cussing sometimes. So it may not, I'm gonna try to do my best to be appropriate. We don't want to be we don't want to be brainwashing the kids. That's not what it's about here. This is the Playas Circle. This is where we talk, we learn, we have fun, talk a little. Talk a little sugar honey iced tea. You know what I mean? Talk about the latest in music and culture. So, you know. He said, I don't know that, man. Hey, understood. But let's continue on. So yeah, I was responding to the Rory and Mal comments. For those who listen to subscribe to the Rory and Mal podcast, very popular music podcast featuring the former co-host from the Joe Budden Show, Rory and Mal, and basically they were getting backlash because one of their co-hosts on the new show, Damaris, had been making some comments about. They had been making comments about Kendrick Lamar, and they was coming off really as like Kendrick Lamar haters. So she was acting. She had responded to a tweet saying, like, "I never said anything like I hate Kendrick or I hate his voice," and they clipped up when they have her specifically saying that. So it looked crazy. So Rory responded to it, and you know how Twitter is. Twitter start getting investigating. They go law and order on you, and they pulled up some of his previous tweets where he was making some unsavory comments. Some real, with all this AI and Instagram stuff, some was kind of fake, but there were real tweets that he had made. So there was a Twitter Spaces held about it where people were talking about it. He joined the Twitter Spaces, and yeah, that got out of hand. It did not go in his favor. Um, Me personally, I'm not an artist anymore. I'm an artist manager, so I manage hip hop and R&B artists. I'm owner of a record label. So for those that are new, if you've never been here before, let me reintroduce myself. Also, my name is Ceddy P. I'm an artist manager, owner of the record label Renaissance Music Records. I'm a playlist curator. I have playlists on Spotify and Audio Mac. What else? I'm in the same lane. I'm also a firefighter, a bald-headed scallywag, and just a cool dude. So nice to meet y'all. If y'all are new here, hope y'all stay around. Hope y'all subscribe and kick it with your boy. Now, going back to what I was saying about this Rory and Mal comments. Now, the interesting thing about for Rory is white. However, he's very invested into hip hop culture and an extension of that black culture. So his comments came as a little bit. They were not well received. He was making some comments about black women and just making jokes that were not necessarily appropriate nor funny. And so people got on him about it. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I try to do a lot, do what I can. But I think the one thing that I made some tweets about it. I won't. What I will say on here is just like hip hop culture. We'll use just hip hop culture. hip hop culture is inclusive. As you've seen it over time, it has grown, it's expanded, it's global. So, you can participate, you can be a fan, a journalist, an artist, any of that. I think, however, where it gets a little bit dicey is when people start extending themselves because they're so involved in the culture that they feel like they could kind of talk about the originators of the culture, which are black people, and that's when that's never going to fly. So that's where we gotta chill out at. Now, I want to get into the bald-headed logic for the day, and we had a great episode last time I was on here. My cousin slash very popular wrestling journalist Cameron Hawkins came on. He was talking about the artist Westside Gunn and his current stalemate with WWE, and how they've been having beef. So that was cool. We talked about that. We talked about the merger between ESPN and DraftKings. Is now that ESPN is now, or a partnership between ESPN and DraftKings, not a merger. The partnership. So now ESPN will be using DraftKings services for their betting. So that was really big. And we covered some of the Grammy nominations. So big things, big things. So let's quickly get into the bald-headed logic, and then we'll keep it moving. So tonight's bald-headed logic is sexy evildoers still go to hell. Sexy evildoers still go to hell. Now, what I mean by that is very often, and I'm seeing this more and more on social media, that people are kind of they're practicing like kind of cruel behavior, nasty in their demeanor and how they talk, but because they're attractive people, is so often overlooked. And I just want y'all to know, you sexy evildoers still go to hell. So that's what's crazy about that. It's just like, you don't stop tripping over the fact that somebody's looks, and if you are an attractive person, you can't leverage that just to be nasty and be rude to people. It's like, as we said in the past, it's like, just because you fine, but you mean as hell, we can't rock with that. You know what I mean? So I don't want people to get used or get accepting of people just having trifling behavior or ignorant behavior just because they look good. Don't tolerate that. Don't tolerate that. You know what I mean? And don't feel like you need to associate that with that just because, oh, these people look good. It don't work like that. You know what I mean? So I want us to focus our attention on being positive people. I want us to focus our attention on improving ourselves. You know what I mean? And no matter the differences in culture and race, like, it's pretty straightforward in terms of being a good person, which is being kind, standing up for things that you know are right, not disrespecting people just because you disagree with them. It's really not that hard, you know. But people be feeling themselves, people be having these different emotions of jealousy or envy or just internal trauma, and we got to stop letting that fly. So that's the bald-headed logic for today. All right. Now, I want to keep it moving with our signature segment, When I Send You This. So When I Send You This is a popular segment that's grown, where we talk about, if I send you a picture of a person, a famous person, the dual meaning that it may have, whether you send it to the players or sending it to the baddies. Now, in the past, we've talked about people such as like Simone Biles or Ti, and countless others. But tonight's when I send you this is if I send you a picture of the legend Rick James. Now, many of y'all are young and you only know Rick James through the timeless skit from the Chappelle Show. But for millennials, y'all may know him a little bit further as a legendary rock and funk artist. But if I send you a picture of Rick James, if I send him to the players, I want you to know you're acting up. You're cold blooded. Cold blooded. All right. So you're acting up and you're acting downright cold, evil. All right. Now, if I send a picture of Rick James to the baddies, totally different meaning. Totally different meaning. It means give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Give me corduroys. Yo, if I send a pic of Rick James to the baddies, that means give it to me. One of his famous songs. But oh man, I don't know why Rick James's music is probably from like the 70s, late 80s, excuse me, 70s, early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why I was right. Like, I think that's because I got it from my parents. Like, man, when I was younger, I used to be blasting some Rick James. But classic artists. For the youngins, do your research. Something I've been doing recently is I've been going through my vinyl collection. So that's been fun. I've been looking through some classics, both of my hip hop classics and some of the old funk and R&B classics, and it's been super dope. Kind of catching up and so listening to some old music. Now, when I was younger, my parents used to play music all the time, whether it was their record player or Lord dating myself, but they used to have these things like you used to have cassettes. They used to have after cassettes was CDs. It's crazy to think that all of those things are basically figments of the past now. It's like if I showed somebody a CD, they'd be like, "What? No, what in the hell is that?" But yeah, like wow times. But I want to get into some of the new waves that I've been listening to. Um, this was a very good week for releases musically. So one of the more exciting releases for me was the new album from Wale. Everything is a lot. Now I happened to hear some of the early records, the singles, such as Where to Start and Blanco. But the project, as I've started, I'm about halfway through. Oh, about a third through. It's a long project, but it's pretty good. I like to try to listen to the record before I'm too heavily influenced by all the social media. It's been getting a lot of praise on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, but trying to really dive into it and listen to it, and it's really good so far. My favorite records. I always liked Where to Start when it first came out, but Belly is good. Michael Fredo is good. So and shout out Wale, my fellow Commanders fan. So I'm excited to continue to listen to the rest of the project. Should be really good. Now, a project I have not listened to yet, but I will dive into is the new Summer Walker album. Again, a very highly anticipated project. The social media has been flooded with conversation about the project. The album, finally over it. Got a lot of different features. I know that Mariah the Scientist is on there, Lotto's on there. You got a song with Glorilla, Bryson Tiller. Glorilla, Sexy Red is on the record. Um, so it's very, very like it's got a lot of features. But um, Summer Walker is a very, very talented artist. So I'm really excited to see she has done. She's been doing a lot of pushing with the rollout with the brides, the gown on, and just some of the coverage of it. So we're gonna take a listen to it, man. I'll definitely let y'all know how it's sounding. All right. Now, one last project that we're going to be tapping into. Another one from the ladies, but we're going to be listening to Lola Brooks' new project as well, her new EP. So I definitely am excited. I don't know. It should be considered an EP. So in the music space, if you make a project with over 7 or more tracks, then it's technically listed as an album. But we all in the industry have really been learning how to try to push these as projects, as they're called now. You know what I mean? Not necessarily albums. Albums is used very, very loosely and flexed. They're very flexible with the term album in the music industry. I don't know how many people have had at least 2 to 3 different debut studio studio albums. So I would have to go back and check with what they're calling this, but I did hear the song with New York, LA. Shout out New York, LA. Shout out one of my favorite baddies, Shauna Peasy. But I want to listen to some of the records. I want to listen. I gotta listen to the record where she sampled Mary J. as record Pain. So I'm going to get into that as well. So those are the 3 projects that I'm really, really excited about this week, and that y'all can check out as well. Okay. Now, I got a quick question for y'all, and then we will get into some of the what are you talking about moments. All right. So for those who are old enough to actually answer this question, the question of the night is, who was your childhood crush? Who was your childhood crush? Now, it really all would, I guess, depend on your era. You know what I mean? How where you would really start to kind of use that. I'm laughing because even though I'm sure you may not admit it, I remember my son, he had a crush on Zendaya for a little bit, and well, respect to him. You know what I mean? But I go back, several several years, and I think, man, so my earliest crushes that I remember. The earliest crush I remember was Whitney Houston. Shout out Jersey. Dang, I had a lot of crushes on Jersey girls. But Whitney Houston, this is like, that young Whitney Houston. I was a young kid. Um, my my I'm going, for this lack of a better term, my godmother, um, she would take care of me, and she saw me drawing. I used to draw when I was younger. So I was drawing a picture. She's like, "Who are you drawing a picture of?" I said, Whitney Houston. She said, you ain't never drew no picture of me. I said, you ain't Whitney Houston. You know what I mean? I'll get you on the back end. I'll holler at you on the back end. Um, but yeah, that was like really early years, very young. But when I started to be in like my like you talking about like 10, 11, man, it was moving very. It was it was a turnstile because that's 90s, man, and it was man 90s black actresses and singers like is that's really like that's really the elite. You know what I mean? I would even give you 90s and 2000s. Like that was some elite times. I had a crush on that start gotta start with Faith Evans. Man, used to love me some Faith Evans, boy, I tell you. And had a crush on Jada Pinkett. This is pre-will. This is low down dirty shame, Jada Pinkett. I listen. Say what you must now. You know what I mean? As people get older, one thing about life, man, is like as you get older and the people that you look at in a glowing eye get older, you can start to see the flaws and the cracks. So it makes stuff a little bit different. But back then, boy, when we didn't have social media and all you could see is just fine with the short hair, boy, I tell you, what a gift! What a gift! But in addition to Jada, I love me some Leela Rashawn. Boy, Leela Rashawn just like turns it just like without any like I don't want to say without the additives, but just as a woman, man, killing them. We don't really. First of all, we gotta give her respect for her role as Sunshine. Gotta look up like my boy Red Fox. But like prime Leela Rashawn, man, like she was like the Derrick Rose of baddies. prime taken too soon. Like we don't she could have been a champ. She could have beat LeBron. Cause everybody's obvious go-to from them eras was like Holly Berry. And then as time is going on, Nia Long, and respectfully so, obviously, Nia Long's staying power, Holly Berry's staying power. You know what I mean? And I'll give you another one of my childhood crushes. Gotta go Sanaa Lathan. Boy. Had me in there acting like Tay Diggs. Brown sugar, won't you give it to me? Used to love me some Sanaa Lathan. Not used to, still. But they was just classic beauty. Man, I'm telling you, if you look, I don't know what was in the water. Probably they ain't have none of, no GMOs, no gluten, none of that type of shit. All the, what I mean? That's probably why they done filtered it all out. That's why you can't get that beauty. They can't recreate that the way it used to be, that natural. But let me tell you, man, that 90s and 2000s era, I recently saw like they had a grid of all of the 90s and it's like, yo, pick your top three. Hey man, it's a crapshoot. Like it's a roll of the dice every time. If you look at the premier 90s and 2000s ladies, black actresses, and it's ones that you, like I said, it's just like in basketball. Like if you ever played 2K and you be like, yo, this dude used to kill it. He wasn't like a star in the league, but he was a walking bucket on 2K. That's how it was like certain baddies was. Like they wasn't the top tier like A-list actresses, but I don't know why I said that so slow. They wasn't like the A-list actresses, but they were so bad. And if you say their name around somebody from that era, they gonna be like, ooh. You know what I mean? Because like you got Alexis Fields, who if you look up Alexis Fields now, you like, Well, damn. You know what I mean? And that's not. Alexis Fields' sister was tough. Regine, Kim Fields from Living Single. Like what was Mama Fields putting in the mojo? Because they both tough. But like I said, you got dang, what's Shorty's name? She still look hella young. I don't even remember her name. She was in Save the Last Dance. And now I gotta find her. Bianca Lawson. Bianca Lawson still looks a good 28. She got to be about 52. She 46. All right, I put too much stank on it. But she look about 24. And I'm like, what in the hell? Who in the hell left the gate open? Bianca Lawson's still tough. But like I said, it's mad 90s. That's on like we don't give she had a short run before she became like super famous with Scandal. Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington. And the reason I would say hers was different is because she went mainstream. Like with back in the day, the 90s and 2000s actresses, they was ours. You know what I mean? So what like they you wouldn't catch them in mainstream shows. Like Nia Long was on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so that's why people potentially knew her. But it's like outside of them shows, you had to go watch black movies to be able to see them. But it was so many. Kyla Pratt, Elise Neal, SJ Cage, what's good? I'm in here talking about who was your childhood crush, and they got me going down memory lane. Do you remember the time? Like it got me going through all my old school classic baddies. That's what I'm saying, yo. Back in the day, there was a time people won't even remember this, where it was like Beyonce was in the mix. I can't even really explain it because the catapultation, I'm making up words, but the catapultation of Beyonce is needs to be studied. But there was a time when she was like in the mix. You know what I mean? Like it was her, Aaliyah. Damn, I forgot about Aaliyah. You know what I mean? It was so many black beautiful baddies. It's like it was hard. I don't know what has happened in terms of like how certain people just become superstars versus in comparison now, but like everybody was in the mix. Vivica Fox. Y'all don't know Prime Vivica. Y'all don't know Prime Vivica. Booty Call Vivica. And I know Booty Call sounds like some X videos. Booty Call was a popular movie featuring Jamie Foxx. Y'all don't even know that Jamie Foxx. That's when he had the little twisties on his head, looking crazy. That's what I'm saying. You know these people as superstars before they was there, man. Jamie Foxx had them little twisties on his head. Definitely pull up, man. Yeah, appreciate you pulling through. We had some classics. If I'm missing anybody, y'all let me know. Let me know. That's probably gonna have to be a separate topic for next week. Like name your favorite 90s baddie or early 2000s baddie. Yeah, but I had some good ones. If I had to narrow it down, to me, my favorite was I have to say, damn, because that don't even really cover my Melissa Ford phase. That was when I got older. I think the people that remains stable, I'll narrow it down to three. All right. So the core one got to be Faith Evans. Shout out Jersey. Okay, got to go with Faith Evans. Then the mid tier, man, this is tough. It's tough. I'm gonna stick with Sanaa Lathan. I'm gonna ride with you, Sanaa, because we was like this. We was like this. And then third, I gotta go Melissa Ford because I had the posters. You know what I mean? If they pull up my my Facebook or my classics, they gonna see I had the calendar. You know what I mean? Now I can act grown now because I am grown. But yeah, your bro was I'm sprung, dog. You got me on my T-Pain. It's crazy. Now, let's quickly get into the what are you talking about segment. There's a lot going on social media. We talked already about the Rory and Mal stuff, but I want to get into more kind of like more chill stuff. You know what I mean? Like more stuff that we can discuss and laugh about, but also kind of, learn from as well. Now, one of the interesting posts that I saw floating around social media was recent comments from famed Dallas Mavericks, but formerly for his exploits with the Golden State Warriors. But Klay Thompson. Now, those who know, Klay Thompson is in the later portion of his career, but more importantly, and in his eyes at least, he's now being recognized for dating hip hop star Megan Thee Stallion. Now, you've been seeing him and her on social media left and right, but unfortunately, the Dallas Mavericks are having a rough season, and so is Klay Thompson. So this has been a hot button issue on a lot of sports podcasts and social media. And what's my boy's name? Pat Bev recently had former NBA star Jason Williams on, and he was making some unsavory comments about Klay Thompson's poor play being attributed to his new relationship with Megan Thee Stallion, and kind of referred to her and as a body part as opposed to a full blown woman. So Klay Thompson responded back to that and called him low brow, low class. But the more important comments from Klay Thompson came from a reporter asking him, is his poor play attributed to his new relationship? So basically, Klay Thompson said, Megan's a great girl. My poor play has nothing to do with her. I'm just out of my prime. And I don't think, if I'm being honest, I've ever heard a player mid-season acknowledge that he's past his prime. You know what I mean? Because my thing is, dang, brother, don't mess with the money. Don't mess with the money. And if I'm a GM, if I'm a coach, and I hear my player say, "Hey, man, it ain't my woman's fault that I'm playing bad. It's me." I'm gonna be like, "Well, damn, can we cut you? Can we renegotiate the contract? Because this is crazy." But let me say this, y'all. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. Now, I am a Klay Thompson fan of his overall career, right? But one of the things that I have said about Klay Thompson in the past is Klay Thompson is the best streak shooter of all time. Now, what I mean by that is because people love to attribute to him, oh, he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. But if you really, really watch Klay Thompson be going crazy, and then the next game or two, like, he'll be bricking. But he shoots when he's hot, and it's hard to kind of even process. Like I said, he had a quarter where he scored 37 points in a quarter. He has the most 3 point, makes in a game. So it's like in a game he can go crazy. So it's like it's really really hard to you know kind of hate on his skill, but he be like that. And now with him getting older and having injuries and stuff like that, he ain't the same, baby. As he said, he out of his prime. But the thing that be interesting is like they trying to attribute it to Megan Thee Stallion. I was like, brother, been struggling in the past 3 years. Don't hurt, don't Clay. Don't hate, don't be mad at your boy. Cause Clay be petty. But no disrespect. But like I'm just saying I'm in agreement with you. I don't want them to try to. I respect him for trying to, own his brickness. That's how you got to be. You got to own it. Don't let them try to play your woman. Now, and another topic that I saw that I want to get y'all thought process on, get y'all swerve on. Now, I watched this post and I thought it was very, very interesting. I saw this post on Instagram, and the Instagram post, the caption said, "Do not shoot your shot online." So I thought it was very, very intriguing. It said, "Do not shoot your shot online." So the post was from an account titled "Meet the Perrys." Shout out to the Perrys, and that's my name too, but we're not related. But or with the Perrys. And the woman that was on the show was basically explaining that she doesn't necessarily recognize when men are trying to holler at her. She feels like every single man that she's connected to doesn't need to try to date them. And so I think the interesting thing about this is that the man that was on the podcast was basically saying that when a guy is in your DMs, he said things. He said men are thoughtful, but they ain't that thoughtful. Usually, when a man comes into your DMs or try to talk to you, he has some type of motive. Now, what I will say to that is, I agree, it may not be a full blown, yeah, I'm trying to sleep with you. It may not be the motive of that extent. It may be a motive of trying to get to know you. It may be a motive of I want to take you on a date. And then you have to account for the men that just like, there are men that like to just flirt, and then there's men that just shoot shots in volume. So it might not even be a serious shot. But I think it's very, very important to understand that in most cases, like, just at least keep that, ladies, baddies, keep that in the back of your head. A lot of times when a guy is responding, especially if he says, if he's complimentary, especially, there's a high chance that he's trying to gain your attention, kind of get a little bit of your consideration. Now, what they said on this post was interesting, is that women seem to naturally just want to be nice, which is funny and kind of humorous, ironic, if you will, because of their reputation for not being nice when people try to, holler at them. But they say they're being nice in terms of just, communicating back and forth with them, with the men. And the guy said in response back to the young woman is, I don't think if there is really zero interest, I say this to men too, like if there is zero interest, if you don't really have strong interest, I don't really think you should pursue or make those comments, because if you get called to the carpet on your comments and get, okay, so what you gonna do with it? then you can't run with your, tail tucked between your legs. You can't back out of it. And then equally, what the woman said, which I think is true, is women like to be nice, but then it's like when a guy actually tries to make a move and be direct on it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't like you, or I only see you as a friend. It's like, well, where was all of that energy when there was this buildup? Because the buildup is happening, and I just want women to be a little bit more aware and acknowledge it. If you're getting, to me, when I talk to players all the time, I try to urge them to be direct. Being direct can be scary. I'm not saying as soon, hi, I want to sleep with you. I don't mean that level of directness. What I'm saying is, though, it should not take you 12 weeks to be able to tell a woman you want to go out with her. It should not take 30 smiling emojis for you to let a woman know I like you. I think it bodes well for both parties to get an answer straightforward. And so that you can go on about your business, or y'all can pursue and see if there's something of interest. So to me, that's where I feel like there needs to be a level of directness. But for the baddies, to me, without being egotistic, I think there's got to be some level of questioning or prodding if you see that a person is being friendly with you, because it's like, why is he being so friendly? Not to say that all men have the ulterior motive of trying to do something romantic, but there oftentimes is. I'm not, like I said, I'm never going to say all. But yeah, like, I'm saying this to you to try to get your attention to see how you're going to react. If you react kindly, then that gives me the inspiration, or the incentive to try to pursue further. And I don't think that women recognize that as they just continue to kind of like play along and play it back. I think both parties, players and baddies, need to learn how to read messaging, read signs. If you give a woman a compliment and she goes, if you give a woman a compliment and she laughs, says, "aw," or a very succinct thank you, like just a very, very thank you. Like, oftentimes she's purposely doing that to kind of let you know, like, I'm just being nice and receiving the compliment. But I'm not giving more because I don't feel more. I'm not intrigued by your compliment. When a woman likes you, in my experience, and it doesn't always go this way, because like I said, there's no absolute for anything. But when a woman is interested in you, like, her response to your statements are going to show, they're going to be reciprocated with consideration. And like they say, a great compliment deserves another. You won't have to beg for a compliment from a woman that is attracted to you. So that's one thing. The second thing is when you try to make yourself available, which again, I think is very important to try to acknowledge without going too far, that there is a level of interest. It's like, yo, I think you're attractive. I'd love to, take you out. Are you free? Are you free? If they ask you, hey, just out of curiosity, are you single? You know what I mean? If somebody asks you, are you single? That means they care. Because why would they ask you that? That any other, other intention makes no sense. Or if they actually, if they flirt with you like, oh, you think I'm handsome, try to get an answer out of you. So these are things to consider. Like, these are things for women to listen for and be prepared for, to be able to act upon in a good way or a bad way. I mean, positively or negatively. So that to me is just always a way for us to try to get closer and align with each other. I just hate seeing us make the same mistakes or be upset when something doesn't work for us, when we are contributing to the problems. I think men need to find ways as much as they can to try to meet women in person. Like I know society is like really pushing us away from that, and you almost have to have a level of interaction online. But yo, you gotta meet women in person, man. It makes a huge difference. At least gives you a fighting shot. You know what I mean? They can observe you in person. They can see whether they like it or not, and then they can, and you can ask them straightforward so that you can go about your business. Because you get online, you're going to see all the thirst traps. You're going to see them dressing fine and all that. You're going to be hitting the like button. You're going to be replying to all the, pictures of them in a dress or them in the, laying up and or going on the workouts and all that. Like, it's a slippery slope, man. You don't want to be going through that. You want to get your answer, man, and then you can pursue it. So that way, when you do interact with them online, it means more. That's just player perspective. You know what I mean? So I just want us to be able to kind of really, really connect, and I hate the lack of connection. I'll say that I hate the lack of connection. So, what are y'all thoughts? I mean, y'all let me know. Like, do women, do y'all baddies? Excuse me. Do y'all know if a man is trying to holler at you? Can you tell when a man is trying to holler at you or not? Can you tell if a man is shooting his shot when he talks to you in the DMs? And be truthful. Don't cap, baddies. Don't cap. Now, and the follow up question would be: if you know that he's trying to holler, do you play along? Do you just, when I say play along, do you play nice, or do you shut it down, or do you, ramp it up if you're interested? Fellas, do you go into DMs with intentions? That would be the question for the players. Do you go into DMs with intentions? And shout out to those, because I know people which I also feel is cat, but they be like, "Oh man, I don't be sliding in no DMs." Okay, live your life. Live your life. I just feel like now with the lack of interaction, like just using myself as an example, not as a, in terms of the dating space, but it's like I know a lot of people on both coasts of the states. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not gonna see, if you met somebody that live in LA, you're not gonna see them all the time. How else would you be able to interact with them if you was attracted to them? Because hey man, long distance dating it happens. I can attest. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, man, if I could give any advice on this subject in terms of, you just don't want to live in the DMs, man. You want to eventually get in public interaction. That's the best advice I could give you. Do what you got to do in terms of to get the attention, and then once you get the attention, man, state your intentions and make a move. So that way you can get it over with, man. Because people will drag it out, man. People will drag that shit out if you let them. But interesting topics, though. Now, he said, "Look, I definitely don't, but respect to your vision. I'm gonna send you to." I think it's just the bald head. The bald head gives me toughness. The bald head do give me toughness. I saw this video, man, and I said, I pray that I don't have to use this, but it will be a move that I execute if I ever get into a place of danger or a place of of an argument, but I was watching this clip of this dude. He was narrating Kurt Angle, the wrestler Kurt Angle's career, and the first clip is him headbutting somebody. This is bald Kurt Angle. Yo, as I said, I think I said this in a previous episode. To me, the key, if you had to, first of all, the headbutt is a bald headed move. You have to have straight cranium, blackout. You know what I mean? But what Kurt Angle did in this move, and which I would do, is I'm cutting down on the distance. I'm not rocking into it because that's gonna hurt me. I'm straight bop, bop. I'm not even giving you a chance to think. You're gonna be like, so yeah, so what you want to do? Oh, straight catch that head, straight catch that head. But he said, keep that look. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Make sure you tapped in though. Yo. But I wanted to quickly go into, I watch a lot of different clips. I'm not a super podcasty person as far as watching the full podcast. You know, we watch clips and whatever catches our interest. But I follow this shout out to Mauricio Ruiz. He, you know, I mean, he has a podcast in which he interviews managers, and I love his podcast. It's called The Manager's Playbook, and he's had like a lot of great guests on there. He had Victoria Monet's manager on there. He just recently had a dude, artist named Nick D on there, who is like, you know, an independent artist that, you know, has risen to success. He's had Ray Daniels on there, but they basically talk about the industry and how to be successful. How to be successful in this music industry, right? So, and just to give this dude more background, like Mauricio is like, he is worked with a lot of great artists. He's worked with Eminem. He's worked with Daniel Caesar, The Weeknd. He's worked with a lot of people. But anyway, so he had a guest on named Austin Dunn. And Austin Dunn is the creator of a very, very popular Instagram platform called R&B Music. But he's worked with a lot of other artists. And so he was basically talking about how he talked about the importance of his artists in this current day. They like to create. They always try to push their music. They want to push their music on you. Out now, out now. There's a new song. This is a new song I'm working on. This is a new song I just released. Out now. And for artists that have not already established a rapport, it just goes over. It just goes over people. You know what I mean? They don't connect with it. But what works more successfully is when you create moments, which is what he was talking about. An example of this is when he was talking about Victoria Monet, and when Victoria Monet got a super surge in popularity when she was performing at oh man, I do not remember what festival that was, Soul Bloom, I think. But when she did the dance break with Some Cut, and the clips of that's honestly, I probably think that's probably my first interaction, real deep interaction with her. I knew of her, some of her music already, but when she starts to break through, when people started doing that challenge, but because they recognized her on stage doing a dance routine that was intricate and hella creative and fire, you know what I mean? So she created a moment, and that moment led people to tap in with her music, her catalog, and her upcoming music. And so I thought about this a little bit more. I'm like, damn, what's somebody else that I've recognized recently that might have had a moment? So I was thinking about the artist. Y'all may know her. You should know her, but her name is Jessie Reyez. Jessie Reyez, recently, she's been having a lot of viral moments, but the viral moment that I recognize that happened recently is when she is doing a performance and she is on she's in a dress, she's squatted, and she's dancing, and she's like spinning on her heels. And Jessie Reyez is just an incredibly talented artist regardless, but watching her do that, first of all, it's intoxicating. I don't know what other way to say it. When you see that, and it's like, yo, that moment caught so many people. You know what I mean? It caught so many eyes, and it allowed people to connect with her first, and then connect with the music. And to me, that's just the biggest. It's so big, man. It's so big in developing a connection with the people. It allows you to grow, it allows eyes to come to you, and then it allows people to want to bring you to their platform. You know what I mean? So for me, that's why it's so big, and what Austin was saying in terms of creating moments, you gotta do it. You know what I mean? You really, really gotta do it. And so I wonder, do y'all have a moment with an artist where it's like, or something that happened, whether it was a viral moment or a clip from a performance, or like just an interaction that they posted that you was like, oh wow. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they just had it. I would even say with Chris Brown, like they're becoming viral trends and stuff because their teams know how to leverage it. Um, but it's just like when he did the challenge, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you get so caught up. I would even push past it. I would talk about his that's a moment. The VIP photos. Taking photos with the fans. That was becoming such a moment that people was talking about that they had to go to Breezy Bowl. You see him flying around and all this other. It was like, oh snap. You know what I mean? So like, to me, having those moments, you might have a video where you're just having like as an artist a great performance, and you do something that's like, man, if I clip this and show this to the people, it's gonna mean something different. And that's where I feel like we as young artists that's trying to break through, it's like, yo, man, that's where you can win at. Is having a moment and finding out how we can share this with the people and really, really connect. It's not about just sharing the music, because we live in an era and a generation now where if you are an artist and you're not a pre-streaming legacy artist, you have to do the work. And then the work is currently, people want to care about you. They will care about you before they care about your music. If they don't care about you, they're not going to care about your music. And so artists have to learn how to do the work beyond just, hey, I'm gonna just do something that's trendy that I've seen. Hey, I'm gonna just put a bunch of lyrics on and rap. Like, you have to do some of those. It's a combination of those things, but you have to make people care about your story and who you are and what you mean to them when they hear you, or see you. So to me, that's where you win at. So shout out to Mauricio, shout out to Austin, and shout out to artists that are creating moments, because I love to see those moments. I really, really do. Like, I really enjoy seeing when somebody makes me pay attention. You know, I think if I give the same artist over and over the praise, but it's like these are the artists that they have like etched themselves in the stone in my eyes in terms of how they do it. And then there's artists I think that can take it to the next level. You know, I talk about Kirby all the time because the moment that she's had in terms of building a connection with her hometown, or her Mississippi roots, and just being a standout performer and singer, and just making that memory just last of you kind of seeing her, with the long, big, beautiful hair, and just singing. in the country. It's always like that image is burned in my brain. Like I'm used to that now. Um, like I'm trying to think of a male artist that like Leon Thomas. It's more of his brand than necessarily than like in this particular moment. But it's like the Leon Thomas look is so real. I don't remember what mentor taught me that or where I read that at, but it was like your brand should be so strong that somebody could dress up for you as Halloween. If they can do that, then you're doing something right. So I would love to see like artists continue to make moments and continue to connect with people. Like, more specifically, these these rising artists and independent artists. So, but yeah. So, all right, y'all. We've been on for like an hour. I'm gonna do a couple more segments. I gotta speak my truth. I got to speak my truth. I haven't spoken my truth in a couple of weeks, and we'll do that. I will highlight the player and the baddie of the week, and then we'll get out of here with a Ceddy's recipe. All right, that's fair enough. So tonight, speak my truth. A little bit aligned with the bald-headed logic, but not completely. So tonight, speak my truth. You might be fine, you might be rich, but you still corny. You might be fine, you might be rich, but you still corny. There was a viral post that was going around, and I saw it. It was a young lady on a podcast, and she was expressing her sentiment about and women overall, but kind of highlighting women in the DMV. All right. And what she was saying is that overall, she's like, women can be losers too. Now, y'all know how much I love the baddie. So, what I mean? Like, I'm reporting the news here. Not necessarily a full-fledged opinion. But what she's saying did make, I understood the concept. And basically what she was saying is that, man, women, a lot of women are attractive. You know what I mean? She's like, you go to DC, you go to DMV, you're gonna see attractive women. It's in the water. You know what I mean? That ain't nothing new. You might see a woman that's not only attractive but got things going for her in terms of she got money, she got a good job. And so okay, that checks off too. But in terms of what really, really matters in terms of connection, personality, common sense, the ability to connect with others, lacking. Lacking. Now, I saw that, and y'all know how my mind thinks, or if you don't, this is how it does. But like, I'm a person, I connect the dots with people because I feel like men and women, we're more similar than we are different. But through these different channels, we always highlight the differences because it's marketable, profitable for different people. So, but we're very similar. I know a lot of guys that also would fit that mold. It's like they got the look, they swole, you know what I mean? Got him money, got a good job, this, that, and the third. Corny as hell. Corny as hell. And go and get shots. Both the women and the men, they go and get their shots. People gonna be interested in them because of how they look and them being popular or prominent. But the more that you interact with them, you're like, damn, you're corny. I can't hold a conversation with you. You're mean as all hell. You know what I mean? You think your looks get you over. And like I said, I hate to, echo the earlier sentiment, but it's like, yeah, people be leaning in on these attributes, and these attributes are faulty foundations. I want to see people be more developed. I want to see people stop using their looks or their money as currency, because it's like, all right, if first of all, if we on the same page, none of that shit means nothing. If you as a, if you got a goatee like me, you know what I mean? Like, all right, yeah, that's that. All them good looks shit only gonna go but so far. Now, granted, there's some high level fine out here when it comes to the baddies. Don't get it twisted. But as you mature and you done had some experience, that's why I think, man, that's why men have to learn how to shoot their shot and experience a baddie. You know what I mean? Because once you have experienced a baddie, you're not as overwhelmed when you are in the presence of them or interacting with them. Cause like, man, once you have talked to a baddie, once you've talked to a baddie, once you have went out on a date with a baddie, once you have dated a baddie, if you have ever gotten the baddie draws, not to be crude, but if you've ever done any of those things, you'll be like, yo, shorty feeling herself, and it ain't that deep. Now, women, I would hope, because they are attractive, it's like they might get them a good looking man. You know what I mean? Or might get them a man with money. And they will tell you, a real one will tell you, I ain't impressed. Because that stuff, hey man, you be, all right, man, we going to a nice restaurant. All right, you're boring me while we're here. You know what I mean? You can't keep my interest. So that's why I said, listen, y'all, we gotta start keeping it 100. You ain't gotta be stank with them, but you just need to acknowledge, like, yo, like don't be gassing that up. They corny. Sooner that they recognize it, sooner they can get that attitude adjustment, personality transplant. Start doing the work. Ain't nothing, man. Listen, yo. As a moderately handsome brother who has been out, and seeing what God's green earth has had to offer, it's like, yeah, man, it's nothing worse than a pretty person that ain't got no personality, especially when they got money, because or when they have at least they have a job. Like, because if they have a job, like they really, for whatever reason, people just become entitled. It's like, or feeling like they really fly like that, and they be like, based off what? People like, be like, why? They used to ask, they be like, why are you a good mate or whatever? Oh, I'm attractive. I keep myself in shape. I'm smart. I got a degree. I got a good job. None of those things make you a good mate. They do not individually make you a good mate. And realistically, without the other important pieces of how you treat people and how you treat people, how you deal with conflict, um, your loyalty, your ability to communicate, those are the things that's going to allow you to be a successful or a person of interest. Friendship, relationship, anything. Those things are the starters. You know what I mean? That's just the starter. You can start the car, that shit ain't got no gas, and we ain't going there nowhere. So get that through your head. You might be fine, you might be rich, but you still corny. But that's my truth for this week. Let me speak my truth, man. Just get that up out of there. Now, let's highlight quickly the player and the baddie of the week. All right. Now, the player of the week, I gotta go old school. I'm saying old school because this is one of my favorite all-time comedians. Okay, we are celebrating my boy Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy has been um, on the scene lately with the release of his new Netflix documentary, Being Eddie, and highlighting his importance and his legacy in the comedy world and in the film world, because Eddie Murphy, one of the hugest stars of his era, of his time, and we're talking about 80s, 90s, and 2000s. You know what I mean? He was running things, um, and like a rock star. You know what I mean? One of the and the times like, hey man, packing stadiums, you know what I mean, before kings of comedy, you know what I mean, packing arenas, you know, and so the man, I'm trying to think like Eddie Murphy's my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. Like he just has so many moments. Obviously, I love Life. I love Nutty Professor, Norbit, and then like the early stuff. That to me he has the purest in terms of just absolute just funny stand-ups in Raw and Delirious, and those things are probably almost 40 years old. you know. So they've honored and celebrating him in this documentary. I know that um, his daughter is it his daughter that is married to Martin Lawrence's son. Let me get it right. I don't want to be out here getting it wrong. Yeah, Martin Lawrence's daughter and Eddie Murphy's son are married. Okay. So, which is crazy. They have the opportunity to make the funniest kid of all time. But can you imagine your do you realize how crazy that is? Your grandparents was Ray and Claude. Hey yo, but shout out Eddie Murphy, man, and like I said, my favorite all time comedian, and on his success, his long standing career, and and um, the family achievements. Now, speaking of family achievements, the baddie of the week, we gotta go with Cardi. You gotta go with Cardi B. Cardi B and her beau Stefan Diggs just recently celebrated the birth of their son. Not to mention, Cardi just dropped the deluxe album with the heater on there, airtime featuring Jeezy and Lotto. Loved it, you know. So another beautiful, beautiful baby born in the world. We wish them, health for the young seed, and we hope that we get Cardi, you know, back making music and entertaining us, as well as taking time for herself to be, a loving mother. So. Shout out Cardi B. Shout out Eddie Murphy as the player and baddie of the week. All right. Now, let's close the night. Let's close the night with our favorite segment, y'all. Ceddy's recipes. Now, Ceddy's recipes, for those that are new, one of my favorite segments, the segment that we use to close the show, in which we highlight a norm or tradition, a custom of yesteryear from the black culture that we want to bring back and share with our newer generations so that we can maintain these traditions and keep them going. All right, keep our culture strong and vibrant. In the past, we've mentioned such customs as not splitting the pole, God is good, saying God is good, making playlists, the movie Meteor Man, spades, and Uno. So several classic traditions. Now tonight's tradition is a taboo one, but a real one. The ass whooping. A healthy ass whooping. All right. Now, over the years, both in a positive and negative way, our culture has gotten away from delivering ass whoopings, both to the kids and to the adults. And when I say the kids, when your kids used to get out of line, your kids used to act up at the store, your kids used to embarrass, because that's one thing black parents don't like. Don't be out here embarrassing me. And you used to embarrass your parents, you or disobeyed them. And lastly, didn't do what they say in terms of taking the ground beef out the refrigerator, the freezer rather. You didn't leave, if you didn't thaw out that ground beef before your mom got home, ass whooping. All right. Any of those things resulted in you getting ass whooping when you got home or when your parents got home. And let me tell you, we have run away from the ass whooping, but the ass whooping has steered a lot of us from getting into trouble with the law. You know what I mean? The ass whooping has gotten us away from a life of crime, a life of evil. Because we called it fear, but it was fear blended with respect, and we respected our parents enough that we didn't want to see that come out. Now, I grew up in a single parent household, but a two parent ass whooping community. Cause my mom could dish it out, and so could Charles Perry. Now, ass whooping could usually come. Mine wasn't. I know people like there's a difference between ass whooping and abuse. All right, abuse is when you're using like severely brutal objects. You know what I mean? Punching kids in the face, all that. Like that's abuse. I'm talking when I'm saying ass whooping, I'm speaking broadly, but I'm really just referring to getting the belt. Usually, the belt would do it. You got your ass whooped with a belt, man. It would get ridiculous. Now, I will say as we got older, my parents had to resort. They had to resort to some more extraneous tactics. I remember one time my mom told me to get off. I told the story on Instagram, but my mom told me to get off the internet. Back in the day, Gen Z, couple of y'all Gen Alpha. Whoo! There was a time when we didn't just have like wireless. We had dial up. So you had to have your internet connected to the computer in order for you to utilize the internet. And a lot of times you only had internet on one computer. Mind you, that's the other thing. We didn't have laptops like that. We had desktop computers. And if you had dial up, you couldn't be on the internet because you would be tying up the phone lines. So your parents might let you use, all right, yo, you're gonna use the internet, then you gotta get off. Now I'm in the era when we trying to download music. I'm trying to get that new DMX. I'm talking on AIM. I'm trying to holler at baddies. So my mom had told me to get off the internet, and your boy tried to stall, thinking she not paying attention. FaZe was good. FR for real. So I'm thinking I'm on here. Hey girl, yeah, whatever. Not paying attention like my mom has already told me to get off the internet. Next thing I know, I'm hemmed up like Tyrese and Baby Boy. This joint right here. This my mom. My mom got me in the $1 million dream. Got me like Ving Rhames. Jody, I told you. She like I told you to get off the internet. My mom was strong as hell, especially and light on her feet. had me yoked up. I'll never forget that day, man. I'm telling you. And I had to implement the $1 million dream into my moves. And a move of only of emergency. But hey, man, a couple of them ass whoopings kept me on the straight and narrow. Now, extending this into ass whoopings given to adults, we have gotten away from using mist. Oh, what my boy Pop say? You just need these. Why you need a gun? You used to get into issues in the neighborhood. You wasn't going to the trunk. You know what I mean? Because you wanted to live to see another day. You didn't want to be in jail. You didn't want the people coming out here coming back after you because that's all that was going to happen. No, you used to knuckle up. You used to square up. You used to throw hands. Now, mind you, I'll be honest. Your boy was well respected in the community. You know what I mean? I wasn't starting no trouble. You know what I mean? And trouble wasn't really necessarily coming from me. I have had to throw hands a couple of times, but I ain't acting like I was out here the heavyweight champion of the world. But I do know that, hey, if some shit had to arise, square up. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, it was essential to hand out ass whoopings. It kept people on the straight and narrow. It kept our community regulated. If you got your ass whooped, you went home, you took your ass whooping like a man or a woman, and then you went about your business. You wasn't dead. You wasn't, you know what I mean, going to jail or none of that stuff. You fought. We used to have a little corner, and we would go on these. I don't know why we fought on these people's property because they ended up calling the cops and we had to run. But they had a post like a wooden like post, and it made it look like a ring. So that's where we would square up at. But man, I tell you, you just needed that back in the day. Just to keep things like it wasn't no need for us to be out here shooting each other and fighting as far as adults. It's like, yo, throw hands. And for your kids learn how to stop misbehaving because they ain't want to get no ass whooping. Without the threat of the ass whooping. You ain't even have to use the ass whooping all the time. But without the threat of the ass whooping, kids was running buck wild nowadays. You might have to bring, I know this is taboo, you might have to bring back the ass whooping. So that is my recipe for the day, the ass whooping. Hope that it has brought you some thought process and maybe some laughs. But we got to continue to regulate, keep our traditions near and dear to us. Now, I end here. I celebrate another special episode of Keepin It Playa. Glad y'all stopped by. You know what I mean? You know, we normally on Tuesdays, but I just wanted to see y'all and chat it up for a little bit. But We'll see y'all soon. Y'all make sure y'all keep subscribing. Make sure y'all keep liking the page and checking out stuff. Y'all make sure y'all go to Tidal. Go to Tidal and check out the new music from Key Story and support my girl on her feature on the page and on the thorough hip hop playlist. But until later, y'all know what it is. Keep it blessed, keep it real, but always keep it player. We out.